And I'm very happy to realize that we have, or you have, Ariel started or managed to reinvigorate and the Winnipeg chapter, which for me, for many years was very dear, although I haven't been here for such a long time, and the story goes like that. In fact, the first name of a place out of Israel I could spell was Winnipeg. And that was because I had a family here. My father had a second cousin, but you know, after the Holocaust, the Second World War, they were made actually by themselves with no family, so they were very, very close. However, only by means of letters. They never visited each other. And the first time I met family was when Faggy Rosner came over to Israel, and then we bonded like sisters. She with me, her sister with my sister. So the Rosners were our contact to the world out of Israel. And they married the Kriegers and to the Winograds. In a way, you know, Winnipeg to me is a second home without being a home, in fact. So, and it's wonderful to be here, and I'm really very grateful for the opportunity to come and tell you a little bit about Ben Gurion University, because some of you are, as I understand, veterans. I mean, you are in relationship with the university for many years. Some of your families are being depicted all over. They have chairs or places that you can see the signs over there, and now I see the people behind the names. I don't know whether they're the same people, but at least representatives of their families. So there is much connection and definitely emotional relationship between this community and Israel. And again, thank you very much for being here today. As you've heard, I just finished 8 years of my presidency over this wonderful university, and I always say, you know, I always wanted to be the dean of a medical school. I have here a student, Yoav Kenan, sitting right there. He was one of my top students over there, and I had this aspiration to become the dean of medical school because I really wanted to get involved with medical education and change things in general, but specifically in the Negev. I was the dean for 5 years, and then I plan to go back to my profession as a pediatrician, neonatologist, and go back to my research as a medical geneticist, go back to my teaching as a teacher in the medical school. And then I had to decide whether I'm going to cross the street from the medical school to the university and become the president. And the only reason why I eventually, after really debating between me and myself for a long time, the only reason that I did it was because, you know, I realized that the university, which was and obviously is still so dear to my heart, it's not just another university, not just another higher education institute that research and teach, because there are so many universities in Israel and over the world that have the main mandate is to teach and to research. And nowadays, almost everybody is researching everything, and it is very unusual to see that there is something that one university is doing and the others don't. But when it comes to Ben Gurion University, there is something else there. And this is the national role that this university has in developing the Negev, which is 2/3 of Israel landmass. 2/3 of Israel landmass and only less than 10% of the population. So it goes back to the days of David Ben Gurion, whose dream and vision was to develop the Negev, because he believed that Israel's science will even be tested in the Negev. He said, if you will be able to conquer the Negev, we will be able to do everything scientifically once. If we will be able to turn the Negev green, if we will be able to give people the means to live out of the Negev, from agriculture, from using the solar energy that's in abundance, to really try to purify and desalinate the water, the brackish water that are there in abundance, but underneath you cannot use them for either irrigation, needless to say for drinking, unless you treat them in the appropriate way. And he said, if you will be able to do all of that, you will be able to do everything in science. And he had this vision that, you know, he will go to Sde and people will follow him from all over Israel and will settle the Negev. But unfortunately, that was one idea that he had that didn't come through. You know, he had all those wonderful... He did go to the Negev, but not many others came after him. And it was for years. All governments of Israel were really trying to do something that will spearhead the development of this region. And then came the idea to found the university. And the university was founded with a governmental mandate to lead the whole development of the Negev. And obviously, the basic research that was started at that time was about the Negev, how to make the Negev green. In that regard, the university was very, very instrumental. You know, drip irrigation, the first concept of drip irrigation, which is now being used by all over the world, was actually conceived at the university. The first commercializing photovoltaic cells for using the solar energy was actually conceived there at the university, and especially in Sde where David Ben Gurion is buried, and where we have a campus for desert studies. So over the years, we became a comprehensive university, and in fact, we are the second. There are only two comprehensive universities in Israel. It is the Tel Aviv University and the Ben Gurion University that have everything. The Technion has mostly engineering, not more than that. Weizmann Institute is doing research. It's not a university, they have only graduate studies. Hebrew U, which is my alma mater, very, very dear to my heart, they don't have engineering at all. Only us, we have engineering, sciences. In fact, two medical schools, one Israeli type and one American style, dealing with global health. We have management, we have humanistic and social studies. Actually, we have them all. But we never ceased really being a very robust tool in developing the Negev, and in fact, the state of Israel in general, and in fact, again, taking it from the Negev to the world. So there are two very unique, distinct things of this university, which makes it so different for all others. And as you've said, I've been the president of all, university president for 2 years. So for 2 years, you know, I had like, 7 fingers, because we have 7 research universities, and I care for all of them, and I love all of them, and everyone has its own distinction. But being very objective and I would say modest, I think there is no university that really carry a national role like the Ben Gurion University. Take it 50 kilometers to the north, and it will become just another university, which is not where it is located. So there are two things that are very much baked in this university and very unique. And one thing is the caring for the community. So the university is deeply involved with all that you can think in the community. It is on the level of the faculty, but also the students. More than 50% of our students are involved in community action. When I'm saying community actions, are not those sporadic actions that you find in universities. Many students are going to old people houses in holidays, bringing holidays cheers to patients, etc. No, our projects are long-lasting ones that last 15 years, 10 years or so. You learn about accessibility to higher education. It is a program that we are managing now for more than 15 years, and by which we bring every week to the university more than 1,200 students, high school students, some of them from very, very low socioeconomic communities that never dreamt about universities. We bring them in a very well-designed program where they have both in their own in the home high school but also in the universities. And from those, we already have students, we have PhD students, we have MDs coming from those programs. I don't have the time to really display all of them, but every student that gets scholarships at Ben Gurion University has to give at least 8 hours a week to projects in the community, an extremely important and very significant project in the community. There are lots of programs that have been designed by faculty from education, the medical school. In fact, the medical school, which is now 40 years old, actually was the one that founded the community-based clinics. Before the medical school, we had one hospital over there. And primary medicine actually originated there in the Negev. And the first graduates, the first 2 or 3 years, actually stayed for 2 or 3 years in the Negev in order to build those clinics, outpatient clinics, mostly the ones around in these various settlements. And bear in mind that the Negev was always the home of new immigrants. The higher percentage of immigrants that came to Israel were settled in the Negev. Started with immigrants from Iraq, from North Africa, from the former Soviet Union, and lately from Ethiopia. So we always had these underprivileged communities that the university was catering for in very many levels. But then the university somehow managed to keep this organizational culture of being, of playing a major role in Israel for many, many years. And you know, it is not that easy because we were never budgeted for that. We don't have a specific budget in the university for our community actions, for what we are doing, you know, out of the mainstream curriculum. But because of the spirit, because of the pioneering spirit, because of this Zionistic kind of vision that we have all over as I said, as a culture in the organization, because of that, we never minded about getting resources. We knew that this was one of our goals. So very naturally, we came extremely intimately involved with the recent, current, historical project in Israel, which is the movement of the IDF to the Negev. I don't know how many of you know that the government of Israel has decided more than 10 years ago to move a good part of the Israeli Defense Force to the Negev. For various reasons, security, and also to release some of the land in the center of Israel. But the idea to move training bases, but mostly, and this is very important for the university, mostly elite units, high-tech units, those that deal with the very up-to-date technologies that a modern army, like the Israeli army, who needs to be on top of everything all the time, needs. So all of those elite units are moving gradually to the Negev. And they are doing it because of the platform, of the infrastructure in sciences and technologies, in engineering, especially information technologies, in cyber technologies, in big data technologies, all of that they need. So the idea that the university actually can provide them with a hub for R&D for their needs actually attracted them to the Negev. And you know, for the past 5 years or so, I'm negotiating with, you know, big generals in the army, and they all tell me, if not for Ben Gurion University, it would be very, very difficult to move those units to the Negev. And now they all reside gradually there. They are not, many of them are not yet there, but they are all gradually moving. All of them, you know, 200 meters, between 200 meters and 5 kilometers around the university. We are building now together with the municipality of Be'er Sheva a high-tech park. The first building is already fully occupied. The second one is almost finished. The third one is in planning. And in that high-tech park, 1/3 of the park is going to be occupied by one of the top elite computer unit in the army, which is going to collaborate and cooperate with the university. We have been declared recently by the Prime Minister of Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, as the hub of cyber in Israel. And since we are leading in that regard in the world as well, so I have no doubt that very shortly will be a hub for the world, so as in general. So we've just signed a contract with the government to create a center for research into cyber technologies. Cyber is a very buzzword nowadays. It encompasses a lot of activities, high-tech kind of activities. And we are, as a university, building this ecosystem of partnering with the private sector, with the biggest, the giants, with IBM, Lockheed Martin, EMC, RSA, Elbit, LC, all those companies that now deal with high tech. All of them are now moving to work with us at Ben Gurion University. Now, recently, over the past 5 years or so, unfortunately, we were exposed to some very important and very, I would say, unpleasant crises coming from Gaza Strip. And I'm sure you know that we have experienced actually 2 small wars, but in terms of what we have experienced, they were real wars in the past 5 years. And due to that, the university has strategically decided also to enter this field of homeland security. And we did it not only because we had first-hand experience, but also because we have realized all of a sudden that in the university we have a lot of activities under this big umbrella of homeland security. Cyber is one. I just told you about cyber, but this is not the only thing. We have a very strong robotics activity in the university that started, by the way, with robots to agriculture. Again, going back to our original role to develop the Negev. So robots that disseminate pesticides without the touch of human hand. Robots that picks up dates from high above. And gradually, we have gained a lot of experience in building robots that deals with the security of Israel. So we have a whole line of autonomous vehicles. Autonomous cars that survey one of the border in Israel, I'm not going to tell you which one, but surveys the border of Israel without a driver, without a remote kind of control, just has its own brain and is well equipped to deal with any kind of activity on the border. We have aircrafts, small aircrafts, autonomous, that are being actually we use, the intelligence is using it to survey the Israel border from above. And just recently, we have launched an autonomous submarine, which will be involved now with the security of the natural gas that Israel has found, and you may know, has found in the Mediterranean Sea. So they're going to autonomously, survey the whole operation over there in order to make sure about its security. We do robots also in the field of medicine, neurosciences, what we call the man-machine interface. So robotics has become also a very central activity of the university. Photonic, electro-optics, all these kind of devices that is needed in the security arena. And lastly, preparedness, preparing the community itself, promoting, developing the resilience of the community. Again, we have gained, unfortunately, but we have gained a lot of experience by dealing how to really build a very strong community that can withhold and can function in time of crises. So these are all under the big umbrella of Homeland Security. And now we are the leading institute in Homeland Security in Israel for sure, especially in cyber technology. And of course, I could stand here and talk for another 10 hours at least to tell you about biotechnology and biomedical research that's being done at Ben Gurion University. It is a leading university in terms of research, but this is kind of research that you can see everywhere. Obviously, we have our unique expertise, unique researchers dealing with diabetes type 1 in a very innovative way, dealing with brain injury, again, in a very innovative way that you don't find otherwise. But I wanted to really emphasize and dwell on those areas where the university is really playing a very, very important and major role in Israel, in the economy of Israel, in Israel being, leading in those high-tech fields, and especially those fields that relate to Israel's security. So, when first I was giving the presentation, I don't know where, and I said, I would never, ever accept an invitation to become a president of the university if not for Ben Gurion University. Because, I don't see a big, thing, lots of fun, just, presiding university, a regular one. So somebody, jump down and say, oh my God, if you would have been offered, to do it in Harvard University, would you decline it? I said, yes, I would decline because Harvard has their own big problems, and I'm not sure I want to be partner in it. But I chose to do it at Ben Gurion University, especially because when I came to there about almost 40 years ago, it's awful to admit to it, I came with the idea really to make a change. I was a graduate of the medical school in Jerusalem, in the Hebrew U. This is my alma mater. I have a lot of good and warm feeling towards this university. I wanted something else. I wanted something that can help people. I wanted medicine that sees the patient in the center, patient in a family, within a community, within a culture, not seeing a patient through a specific diagnosis. And I found this university, this medical school eventually, and this university is something which was very much appealing to my own beliefs, values, and especially my connection to the Zionist idea of developing the native. So I made a full circle for my home. My mother was an avid Ben Gurion supporter for many, many years. And in a way, I was growing up with the idea that someday, somehow, I need to be related to this vision. And I'm so proud and I feel so privileged with being able to really fulfill some of those great ideas that David Ben Gurion, which to me is the epitome of a leader in the world. So I'm very, very happy and privileged to be able to move forward some of his ideas. So again, my friends, I thank you very much. I appreciate, first of all, you coming over, and secondly, being such a wonderful audience, very attentive, and I didn't see even one person falling asleep. Sometimes that happens. So thank you very much for your kindness. And again, I want to acknowledge and thank Morley and Marjorie. I actually, where are you? Sitting over there. As I told you before, I was really very seriously planning on attending the gala in your honor, and unfortunately I couldn't do that. So the least I could do is to appear briefly on the video, the movie that we've made for you. I hope you remember me being there. So again, thank you very much for your friendship and for your partnership throughout the years. And this is actually what is the idea behind my going around. I'm doing now for a week or so, and I'm having another week and some days in the States. I'm raising friends. I'm raising friends And if there is something that I want you to come out with from here, is my open invitation for you to come to Ben Gurion University, because seeing is believing. You know, I can show you all the videos in the world, I can tell you many beautiful stories, but you know, unless you come and see on us what we have done there, if you could experience firsthand the spirit of faculty and students alike, you will definitely realize that this is something different, this is something very dynamic. And to me, this is what modern Zionism and pioneering is all about. Thank you very much.